Well, hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. This next episode of the Don't Die Rusty podcast is with Kansas Middletent. He is a inspirational speaker, leadership speaker. He is just an amazing fella. And I got to chat with him about his trip to the Super Bowl where he interviewed many people, like Donovan McNabb, Jamar Chase, Gary Vee, and others. And he talked to them, and you'll learn in the episode that he talked to him because he wanted to give the youth on the reservation, Native American youth, a little pep talk here by talking to them, and you'll learn that here in this conversation. And we talk about his life growing up. We talk about some of his dreams and some of the adventures he's been on. So I hope you enjoy this next episode of the Don't Die Rusty podcast. And I have to say, I'm sorry, but about three-quarters of the way through, we started having technical difficulties. You might hear some background noise. I'm sorry about that. Nothing I could do about that, and I wanted to just tell you. I hope you enjoy this podcast, though, because there's a lot of cool things that were in this episode. And as usual, if you could share, review, subscribe, that would be awesome. And I truly appreciate it. It helps in Don't Die Rusty podcast, and it helps me. So anyway, keep chasing your dreams, being the best you. Don't die rusty, and I hope you enjoy this next episode of the Don't Die Rusty podcast with Kansas Middletent. Hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. I am lucky enough to be talking tonight to Kansas Middletent. This is a crazy conversation we're going to have because first of all, my cousin Clayton Duder said, you need to get a hold of Kansas. He's awesome. You were at Mitchell Tech, correct? And gave a leadership speech?
Yes, kind of a little leadership workshop, a talk, and just shared some things for the day, and yeah, got connected through Clay through that way through speaking and such.
I think you just got done with it, and Clay sent me a text and said, you need to get a hold of Kansas, and I sent you a message, and we got hooked up the next day, and finally we're here together. So Kansas is an inspirational fella. He is certainly a don't die rusty kind of person because I have been following you since we got together here, and I think we're both positive people, and that's what we need in this world.
For sure,
So
yes, definitely more of that.
I'm going to let Kansas introduce himself a little bit, and we're going to have a conversation about some of his adventures and talk about whatever else we talk about.
Yeah, so first of all, Rick, it's really awesome to be here with you in your space. My name is Kansas Middletent. My Lakota name is Tashunkwi. I come from the Lower Brule, Chasha Oyate Nation here in Lower Brule, South Dakota, right off the beautiful Missouri River. And I am a father, first of all. And then I just like to really call myself never a leader or anything like that, just a community champion, somebody that just wants better for myself and for everybody around me and my people.
Like I said, I've been following you, and you were in. It's funny. We'll go back. When we first got talking and stuff. I told you it's because I played a lot of softball down at Lower Brule. I can tell you that, and had a lot of fun down there because I grew up in Heights, and it's also interesting because I have a history degree and I have an American Indian Studies degree. I don't know if you know Jace DeCory or ever knew Jace DeCory, but she was my most favorite teacher out here at Black Hills State.
No, unfortunately, I didn't get to know her, but I'm beautiful to know that you have a history and a Native American studies background. So you get it, you get the gist of everything, some things, and that's part of making better relationships between races and different people is understanding the histories and just everything that happened in a true context.
Well, and I think that's very true. I think more people need to look outside themselves instead of look inside themselves. And I think you need to look inside yourselves too. But I'm saying we have to remember that we're all just one people, really. In some aspects, you understand what I'm saying. I'm not. I'm
Oh,
saying we are all one, and I see nobody differently than myself. We just all have different histories, and we have different traditions that we grew up with.
yes, definitely. I always say when it comes to those kind of discussions and topics, right? I'm gonna always say one thing my grandma used to share with me all the time, right? Be proud of our culture, our heritage, but always remember at the end of the day, you don't have white blood. I don't have brown blood. You know, black people don't have black blood. We all have red blood. We all bleed the same. We all, you know, it's the same color. And so at the end of the day, you know, we're the same.
Exactly. And so now I'm going to get into how long you got to meet a lot of cool people when you were in San Francisco last week. I'm going, holy moly. I mean, I would just like to have a little conversation with a few of the people. Gary Vee I really loved, I would have loved to have a chat with Gary Vee. He gave you a very cool snippet when you talked to him a little bit. And I was just watching, and you were out there in San Francisco. What were you doing out there besides interviewing people?
So the real mission I went out there for, right? There was a few different missions, but the ultimate goal was I do a lot of youth community work. I do try to uplift and bring opportunity to our reservation youth, right? We're often overlooked, lack of resources, lack of opportunity, you know, and all that leads to sometimes hopelessness and just you know, depression, and really my native youth and my native people are the leaders among suicide, right? And that's something that personally affected me. And so the bigger picture is I worked with a great brother of mine. His name's Keith Vasquez, his wife, my sister Naletta Reed. They do a lot of great things. And just, you know, kind of like we are, right? Great people align with each other. And I do my youth work, he does his youth work. And long story short, we were like, what can we do to bring our youth together from California, from South Dakota, from a few different places throughout Turtle Island? And we decided, hey, last year we launched our first ever girls flag football indigenous celebrity game that we wanted to highlight some of the Native American celebrities we have across United States, Turtle Island, and then we wanted to highlight youth. So we went to New Orleans, which was great. Well, you know, we always want to be bigger and better. So this coming year, we had our second annual. We got the Chargers to back us. We got Nike and N7 to back us. We had a lot of great people supporting our cause. We ended up bringing about 25 to 30 youth from California, Arizona, here in South Dakota together to play in the second annual flag football game. And from there, we already had a mission of growing, right? Networking and just being in a bigger space. So we've been working hard to apply for our media passes and credentials. And then part of that was just to network and to see, you know, who we can align with, who we can get interviews with, talk with. And then a few of the people I see, and I was like, man, um, I want to go interview them, and then right. So overall, the initial mission was to uplift our native youth, give our girls an opportunity to shine, and then with girls flag football on the rise, we wanted to make sure that kids here in rural America are given the same kind of opportunities that rural kids would get, right? So we're always late to the race, we're always late to the party, and so now I'm finally like, you know what, I want to jump out in front of this, and I want to help be one of the leaders to help develop this and bring it to the forefront.
You know, that is very, very cool in the aspect because that that's what I I'm dreaming of doing is helping people in some way and in however I can. I don't know where that's going to go here, but we're working on that. But I love that you're trying to help the Native American youth in and by those interviews that you did, like Gary Vee one, Donovan McNabb, geez, I can't. I'm drawing a blank of all the people you talk to, but I loved how they gave everybody an inspirational message. Do you think by doing that they show people that they aren't a forgotten people.
Yes, for sure. Right. And it's beautiful you say that, right? That was my snippet with Gary Vee. The cool story behind that one, right? I seen he was doing an interview with Fox TV and Fox News and everything and whatnot, and he was at the big podium and I just kind of walked up and I was like, you know what? When he walks off stage, I'm gonna get him. Well, it made it easy because when he was on stage, me and him made eye contact, and once we made eye contact, he gave me the thumbs up, and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be easy." And so after he gave me the thumbs up, he ended up coming off stage, and instantly we locked eyes again, kind of, and he came right to me, and he jumped off stage. People were rushing him, and he came right to me, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, first thing he says is, "Oh man," he said, "You're Native American?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "I've had a lot of Native American friends growing up." He said, "How are you doing?" And right then and there, we had a conversation for about 10 minutes, right? And more or less, it was it was great conversation. It was letting him know just how much, right, he influences me. We had some great conversations about Native stuff, and then, you know, my little snippet, right? I just told him, I said, "Hey, I got 3 good questions for you." I said, "But my main one is, can you give a shout out to Native youth?" Because exactly, right? Native people were often forgotten about, right? A lot of people that don't do their history, they don't even, they think of us in a past tense, right?
Yep.
Most people, even that live in South Dakota, they have never even been to a reservation or don't know anything about Native people. And so it leads to negative stereotypes. It leads to a lot of different negative connotations about our people. And so just for our Native youth to, not even just Native youth, Native people, and then, not just for Native people, for you as well, right? You're inspired because I got to talk to Gary Vee, and it's like, you're happy for me, and that's the beautiful thing, right? A lot of people are messaging me and just grateful that I had those opportunities. And the greatest thing is, I got some advice and such from myself, but ultimately my number one thing was, can you give these Native youth, my Native people, a message? Because, if they can get that, if there's some Native Donovan McNabb fans out there and they see that, they're like, hey, that's love, right? Sean Merriman giving us some love.
Yep.
All the different people, and just to even have pictures of some of the people that didn't give me interviews, just to say, hey, I was with them. Jamar Chase, right? He's one of the
Oh
the
yeah.
best in the league right now. To spend time with
Yeah.
him and be at a VIP event and whatnot, and for him to share something that was special, right? I had young people come up to me and was like, the first thing they said was, they didn't even say hi or what's up or anything. They go, how did you get Jamar Chase? And I'm like, because I'm cool like that, right? And then, but at the end of the day, I'm just like telling them, hey, you don't ask, you don't get. It's just got to work hard and position yourself to try to be in these opportunities.
And that's what I think we're similar like, because I don't have a problem of trying to talk to somebody too if I really want to talk to them. And
Yeah,
and
that's
that
the
shows,
exact,
it shows people that you can go do this. They're regular people too.
exactly right. And that's one thing I always, a lot of people always ask me how I kind of have courage, or how I'm able to start those conversations, right? And, I always say, my dad or my grandmother kind of gave me those skills at a young age, in a sense of saying, if, like, right, if you don't ask, you don't get. Or even my dad used to instill in me, like, you got a voice, you got to use it, and the worst thing people will tell you is no, and that's it. And so that's my philosophy of just talking to people, right?
And I think that's a great philosophy too. And I truly, truly appreciate that. And it's interesting too, because when you were talking earlier, I wrote this down, but I think in South Dakota there's also people that are fearful to come to the reservation and not see truly what things are like there. What do you think?
Yeah, I always encourage people to come to the reservation because, first of all, one of the rumors when I do get to encounter people and they're like, I always wanted to come to the reservation, but it's unsafe. And I'm like, no, it's one of the safest places you could ever come to. And if you're respectful and you're nice, like, Indian people are very loving, right? I mean, we're also, don't get me wrong, we're very protective as well, but if you show, we reciprocate energy, right? We reciprocate energy great. And I always say the Lakota virtues that we all carry, most of us carry, is we treat our guests amazing. We treat them amazing, and we always want them to leave in a sense like family, almost when we're done with them.
I mean, and like I said, playing all over South Dakota on reservations, there are a lot of great athletes on the reservations.
And that I'm glad, thankful, and I'm really glad that you said that, because that's part of the reason why I love to do what I do with youth empowerment, trying to provide opportunities, just being a community champion. Because there's so many young people that have so many skills, so many talents, so much drive, but because they're not shown a better path, they don't have people like myself, my wife, even my son, to kind of have an example to say, hey, it's possible, we can do these things, we can be in these spaces, and we're deserving of them. Because they don't have them, that's part of the reason why my family and I work so hard to try to provide these, because we know it can save a life, it can mean the difference. And I always feel, right, as a Lakota man, as a Lakota community member for my people, not just of Lower Brule. It's my responsibility, if I see some amazing talent, if I see somebody with amazing skill or knowledge, it's my job and duty to be able to help them um, share that talent, and have access to resources to be able to change, probably not just Native America, but America in a whole, right? Because who knows, right? We might have young, educated people with cures for disease, or knowledge for different things, that they just don't have the resources and the access to really tap into it. And so it's not just sports, it's everything, academia. But sports is always going to be that catalyst, that driving force, because you said it best, right? Native people are so talented, but we're just, we're not given the opportunities to shine.
And this is all over everywhere, but sports give you the opportunity to shine. You can shine in academia, but sports brings people together because you're cheering on a team. And I just look at you can have. I love academia. I think I love learning every day, and but I think if there's something that brings somebody together. Look, but I mean, you were just at the Super Bowl. Gray Zabel brought South Dakota together because they're cheering for a person from South Dakota.
Exactly
You
right.
know, we don't have many South Dakotans that go to the Super Bowl and then their first year they win it. And you have I know you have a family member that's going to Mount Marty to play linebacker.
Yeah, my son.
Your son's going to go play to Mount Marty and play linebacker. I mean, that's to. I came out here to Black Hill State and I was played football too, but no, it's a step. People don't understand. It doesn't matter if where you go to the next level, but you're going to a next level, and you're chasing a dream, and that's what life is all about: is chasing dreams.
Exactly. And gaining the experience from it, right? And it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And so, yeah, I always believe that, yeah, sports has gotten me through a lot in life. It's provided a lot, and then it's opened up a lot of doors. I agree, right? Some of my greatest friends are some of my former teammates, former competitors, and it's that beautiful camaraderie, that just the love for any game that you're able to play, right? You're right. It brings people together, and that's part of that. Sports kind of knocks down a lot of barriers for us, right? And so I love the great Zabel reference too, because I was asking little native kids, like, who you going for? Who's you? And they were like, Seahawks. So I was like, why? And they said it right away. They were like, Gray Zabel. And I'm like, that's nice.
And you know what's really funny about that? And this is you talk to Jamar Chase, you talk to Donovan McNabb, and Gray Zabel's a lineman. You know what I
Right.
mean? And people are still cheering for him. They're not the star quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or anything like that. He's a lineman in the trenches battling, and you got all of South Dakota just about cheering him on. I just think that's very, very cool to see too. You know, he's in the trenches.
Yeah, he's not quarterback status or anything, but he's got a big following and fan base behind him.
Exactly. So no, is so did your wife go? Did your wife go with you?
Yeah, so actually my wife is a model. My whole family, we do some modeling stuff. And so she was on the celebrity team. My daughter played on the Team South Dakota team. And so it was a good time.
Well, good. So that is that would have been a really, really great time. So and then I saw that you went to Billy Mills' house. It looked like to me.
Yes, yep. I got to see Billy Mills. My family and I, we got to go hang out with him and our group of kids from South Dakota that we took out. Spent the day at his house, and a really cool story with him too. Within my public speaking, him and I were lined up at a school last year, and it was in Highmore. And
Oh, really?
yeah, so with all my modeling and different things that I've been able to do, acting and some of the stuff, it was kind of a cool story, right? Highmore calls me on a random Monday. I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're calling for. I answer it, and they're like, hey, we just picked up Mr. Mills at the airport, and he saw that you're on the agenda for Thursday. He asked if you'd come to his presentation on Tuesday. He wanted to meet you, and I'm like, look at my wife. I say, I think someone's pranking me. I said they told me Billy Mills wants to meet me, and anyways, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll be there. I ended up showing up to Highmore the next morning. He's talking to like all the important people of Highmore, and also right when I walk in, he's like, "Oh, hey, Kansas!" Like stops everything, comes over, and I'm like, unbelievable. I'm like, "What? Really? Billy Mills knows my name and wants to meet me, right? It's supposed to be the other way around." And so, anyways, we talk and everything. He's like, "Hey, my wife and my daughters and I were big fans of your modeling and your acting, and we know you're a public speaker, and hey, you know, you want to hang out?" And I was like, love to hang out. So we hung out that evening. He invited me and my wife to come eat dinner in Pier. We ate with him in Pier. Then the rest of the week he had a few other events, and he let me tag along to each one of his other schools, and he said some really nice things about me and such. And then I finished off strong that Thursday in Highmore. And then when we was parting ways, it was really beautiful, right? He goes, he goes, I just wanted to tell you, like, from this moment on, Kansas, he goes, me and my family, we took you in as our grandson.
Oh,
And so
that's wonderful.
yes, I was just ecstatic. I was like pumped up. I was everything for it, right? So it was beautiful. And then I go to California to do some work for different organizations and such, and he always sees me down in Southern California. He was up in Sacramento area, and finally he was like, hey, you're in San Francisco, we're two hours away. City 2 hours for them guys seems like an eternity. For us rural guy, urban guy, rural, right? It's
Yeah.
nothing. I'm like, hey, we're there. And so it was super simple and easy, and it was good.
Good. That is so cool that he grandson. I can't imagine how you would feel. I should say that's very, very cool.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience. I absolutely like um never gonna forget it. I actually got to hold his gold medal, and I got to do all them beautiful things, and so it was great.
Well, that is awesome. So, what got you to want to be where you are right now?
I'll tell you what really drove me honestly was my traumatic and hard lifestyle growing up, right? I actually was just telling people, somebody asked me out at the Super Bowl what drove me, what kept me from, what pushed me, right, motivated me. And I told him, I said, I said it's a few different things. It's knowing that how fast on reservation life can change, how much I've seen so many people on the brink of success or even starting to taste it and then lose it all, and succumb to res life, I would say. But overall, I made it a mission in my life as a young person, when I was really like third grade, really young. I just always wanted better, not just for myself, but for like my whole community. And
Hmm.
I knew if I was going through hardship as a kid, you know, I kind of identified that a lot of my classmates, peers, were dealing with hardship, and so for me, I was like, someday I'm gonna be somebody, and I'm gonna try to help my people, and I wanna, you know, do different things. I want to be somebody, so our people know they can be somebody, right? And never knew what that was gonna be, but man, I'm never afraid to jump into anything and take any opportunity and say, you know, I guess they would say take the bull by the horns, right?
Yep. Yep. Because it's interesting. I mean, for me, it took me a while to want to do this podcast, and now you're going to be number 99. And so I'm just about to that mythical 100, we'll just say. And it took me a while to jump off the cliff, if you even know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, for sure.
So
I
that's
know
very, very
exactly what
cool.
you mean. And man, I always admire those people, right? It's always we're always at the start of it, we're always waiting for the right time and the right moments, and we feel like we got to make the stars align. But I always tell people after you do it and you experience it, like there's no better time than to just start doing it and really learn as you go, right? That's the experience thing, only to get better. And I can tell you, and you can probably attest to this, right? 99 is way different and a lot better than number one, right?
Definitely.
And so it's beautiful.
Because I hope you kind of critique yourself as you go. And I think yeah, it's fun to watch every single episode how you've kind of kept on going and going and how you've evolved, we'll say.
Yes, for sure. I actually, um, my twin brother, I have a twin brother, right? And he used to come help me do some talking or, you know, different things, and never really was the lead or anything, but he struggles, you know, res life kind of has a grip on him a little bit. And so he went to Mitchell Tech with me, and that was my first time he actually got to see me in action for probably 2 or 3 years maybe, and it seems like forever. And we end up getting done, right. And I'm always that person. I always ask people that I work for and do things for. I'm like, you know, give me a positive and a negative. Like always give me some feedback to critique. I need to be better. I look right. We always want to do that and self improve. And so anyways with him, I was like, how am I? And he's like, man, he's like, you know, I don't really know what you can get better at right now, but he's like, just the growth, everything you had from when, you know, I remember it from now. He's like, I don't know how you got so darn good. He's like, they loved you. He's like, you know, he was like, it was everything they needed. And he's like, I can't critique it. He's like, I'm not at that type of level to even critique anything. But he's like, you're just amazed me, right? And I'm like, okay, it's if he sees the growth from, you know, from then to now, I'm like, you know, we're making strides.
Well, I hope I can eventually get into that realm of speaking here and there. But I do know, like we talked earlier, you made a heck of an impact on my cousin Clay. That's for sure.
Yeah, Clay, and it was really beautiful. Clay kind of got me that gig because they were looking for somebody, and Clay messaged me and was like, "Hey, I threw your name in the hat," and I told him that I listened to you speak a time or two before, and he's like, "You're really amazing," and so he was like, "I'm gonna try to get you in," and man, he got me in. And I always tell people, if you get me in the door, you let me have an opportunity, I'm never gonna disappoint. I'm never gonna you know, you're always gonna I might even be invited back multiple times.
I love hearing that. So, so I have a one of my big deals is you were talking a little bit about suicide earlier. I hate to be a downer here at this moment, but because suicide has affected me too. I mean, I've had a few friends that have done that myself. How do you combat that on your side?
Man, it's you know, over the years, I'm gonna be real, right? Over the years, I always tell people, you know, it is. I always gotta say, right? One thing we gotta do with the stigma of suicide is we gotta be able to talk about it. Especially us as men, we gotta be able to say, man, we have feelings, they're valid, and it's okay not be okay, right? Especially as men, because we're always taught to mask it, to hide it, to cowboy up in a sense, and to do different things like that. But to really just get the elephant out of the room, right? We got to talk about that elephant. And so I would just say, not in a bad way, which is gonna sound bad, but um, I've encountered suicide so much that these opportunities are what keep me going, right? I was just actually, when I was in San Francisco, I was finishing the day, and I was looking back on my videos and things, and a lot of my friends that aren't here because they could succumb to suicide. I was just, kind of briefly looked up and was like, hey, we made it. Despite you being gone, you still, I carry you with me, right? And just them moments kind of keep me forward, but at the same time, it's remembering them and providing those opportunities to say, hopefully we can save that next one, that next generation, and that's what really motivates me. Um, One thing with the talking about it, right? Before, when I would never talk about it, I became numb to it. I lost so many friends in a short little time at one point in my life that I couldn't even, I didn't even know how to feel it, right? Process it. I was just became numb to it. And it just, after eventually it just all came out, and it didn't come out in a good way. And so now it's just being able to have great friends, being able to talk about it, to just saying, hey, understanding too that most moments in life aren't, it's never a bad life, just bad moments. And that we can get through it, right? It's never as bad as we really think it is. And as long as we have that one person that we can talk to, that we can trust. And I always tell people, I get a lot of phone calls from a lot of my friends. They cry to me. I'm their crisis person. At times I never want. I always tell them like, hey, I can't just be your crisis. Call me when you're happy too. But at the same time, I'm like, they always know I'm kind of that person for them. But I'm just that person that never tries to solve their problems, never tries to judge. I'm never judgmental towards them, and I always just try to be that listening ear, that support, and just reminder, right? Hey, just a bad moment, just a bad moment. Let's think of the blessings that we have, right? Because it's all, at the end of the day, it's a mindset. Positivity is a choice, and it's a mindset we got to choose. Because I always say, problems are inevitable, right? We're gonna face them. Nobody's life is perfect, and some of us are better at hiding it and masking those battles that we don't talk about, and they're there for everybody. That's why I always tell people, like I tell Clayton, and I'll tell you when I go into different places. Some people ask me, "Can you speak to non-native audiences?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Really? How come?" And I'm like, because problems don't discriminate. Problems aren't racist. Problems are everywhere. Poverty, cancer, whatever you think of, everybody has it. Just, we're the ones that make it a little more complicated for each other, make it a little harder, and put ourselves inside those boxes of whatever it is we want to put each other in, and then name call each other for it, right?
Definitely, because people make problems just worse, and
Oh, man.
either they get in their head, or they worry about what people are thinking, or wherever they want to go. But I really truly appreciate that you are. I always tell people, call me if you're having a problem. I I always tell people, like you said, I don't want to just hear about the bad days. I'm cheering you on the good days too, because I'm not jealous that you're having a good day. And,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and we know about sports, and and you know how they had odds on who's going to win the football game. And I think I put that up this morning. I said, or yesterday, it might have been this morning, but people cheer about. Some people are negative and just cheer on you having a bad day, and I'm not going to let that happen. And the underdog is the one that's always cheered for. So let's wake up in the morning, see the sunrise, and we're going to go out there and win the day. And if we don't win the day today, we're going to win it tomorrow.
Exactly, right. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is you just gotta have that mindset of being undefeated, right? I always say And it everybody. I had a friend come up to me one time and they said, "Kansas, you're full of it." And I was like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "No way you're ever this happy. No way you're ever this positive. No way your life is that perfect." I'm like, "Yo, bro, it's not. I live on the res too." And they're like, "Well, why do you always act like it is?" I'm like, "Because it is." I'm like, "Man, we all have problems, but if I'm gonna let one problem ruin my day, then I'm never gonna have a good day. If I'm gonna dwell on a problem, um, and if I dwell on it and try not to fix it, then maybe I'm the problem, you know. But overall, I said it's mindset, right? And
Definitely.
for me, I eventually learned to change that mindset, to just really change the way I think into saying like it's a lesson, right? What am I learning? What kind of thing is there? Unless ultimately sometimes you just got to take those L's and say, hey, it wasn't meant to be at this moment, and that's okay too.
Yeah, because sometimes, in the battle in life, sometimes you have a band-aid that fills up the mark, and sometimes you need stitches. But everyone leaves a scar, and you can remember from them.
Exactly, exactly.
So, because I look how you say good morning to everybody every day, and I try to put out that picture and say something to get people thinking every day, and that's why I love following you in that aspect because I think also when we're talking about earlier when we were talking about people calling us and stuff, it's also the people that we surround ourselves with that keep us up too. I try to teach people to have that tight circle, have those friends, but if you can't call that person, call me.
Mm. Yep, sure. And it is, man. Who you surround yourself with, who you choose to have within, circles. And I always say, for me, I always have different layers of my circle. Sometimes you're within that deep inner circle, and sometimes you might be 3 layers out, but you can still be part of my circle. It's just, I don't judge people or anything, but I always say I gotta be able to gauge them by their tendencies, right? I gotta be able to know if push comes to shove, they got my back, and without question. So I gauge people by their tendencies, and but yeah, circle is everything, right? I always uh not my saying or anything, but right, you can always judge people by the company they keep, right? And I never say
Yep.
that because I have here on the reservation, right? I have some of my best friends that I played football with, went to school with that, struggle with addiction. And when I see them at the store, I'm chopping it up, saying what's up to them, giving them a hug, letting them know that I still value them, right? But you know, at the end of the day, too, we're not ever gonna be at like let's say the same house or anything like that, right?
Well, and you're right there. I mean, there's always those. There's the outer circle, and then the middle circle, and then the inner circle. But I love how you do that because I believe the same thing because you don't know what kind of day they are having, and by you going and talking to them, you might have changed. You never know when the light switch is going to turn on, and you might have changed their life.
Yes. Yep. And thinking of that, actually, there's a little thing I have that I do. So if I randomly think of somebody and they like one of my friends or somebody and they pop in my head, I instantly message them. If I got their number or social media, I message them. I say, hey, I thought about you today. Just, I'll send them a good message and they'll be like, yo, I needed that. And I'm like, there's a reason why Creator made me think of you then, because just randomly, maybe it was a memory, maybe something. I don't know what it was, but I don't know, maybe just something, and I'll message them, and it's always a good little message. So, kindness can go a long way, right?
It can because I do the same thing, and so that makes me laugh. I'm laughing with you because I think that those people come into your mind for some reason.
Yes.
And I just started randomly doing that too, and sending them a text or sending them a message and saying, "Hey, just thinking of you, hoping you have an amazing day or whatever else, just pep them up." And I've had a few people like you just said, I needed that. You don't know what I don't know how you knew I needed that, but thank you.
Mm,
And
for
we need
sure.
more people in the world to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't. I always say, we're all on our phones anyways, right? I always tell people you're never too busy, right? When people say, "Oh, it's too busy," I'm like, they're just playing me because you're never too busy, right? And let's be real, it takes 30 seconds to send a quick little message of "What's up? Hope you're doing well," right? Or something, right? Just to even just thinking about you or checking in. So I always tell people like, especially the society we live in, but hey, it's it's just um it's just what we got to model, right? It's if we want to be the change in the world, we got to be that change exactly what we want to see, and can't leave it to chance. We got to be the ones that are the catalyst for it.
I believe that, and then we need to both. I mean, we're both doing that, but I always tell friends, I was in a. Actually, it's funny because I was in a text a bunch of people a text group, and this one of the friends said, "I haven't talked to you for a long time," and my friend said, "Well, the phone goes both ways."
Yeah, right. That's one thing
You,
I actually had to learn, right? Some people used to guilt trip me like that. Oh, so busy, don't forget about us little people or our thing, or you never, whatever. And I'm like, hey, you got my number too. Like, don't make me feel bad, right? Because you're not
exactly.
thinking about me either.
And that's the case, and that's why when you get the random text to those people, you do know that you're thinking about them, and that's how we make the world a better place. Because, like I said, how do we know that doesn't trigger something? How do we know that we just made their day if they were thinking about doing something to themselves or having a bad day? We can make it better. I can't wait to talk to you in person someday because I truly think our conversations, being in person, knowing each other, this is a good start here. But I really think good conversation together, and I would like to just pick your brain about how to get into these places and how we can how maybe you and I could get together and change the world.
I'm always for that, right? I always love collaborating, and I'm gonna tell you one of my own personal goals, right? A lot of people always ask me about a little bit of, I don't know, fame or influencer status that I got. I always person, right, that just seizes every moment I can. So I don't really think of myself as like famous or anything. Um, and things. But I will say, right, is if there's one thing I could be remembered for, this is, I told my wife, it might sound a little selfish, but one thing I wanted to be remembered for is I want to be in the South Dakota Hall of Fame, and what I want to be in the Hall of Fame for is for, in a sense, Luther King and Muhammad Gandhi, but I want to be here in South Dakota where I helped connect relationships and build bridges between the racial differences that we have that are going on in South Dakota, tear our communities and divide our communities, and sometimes people don't want to admit exist, right? And so really I want to be able to have those hard conversations, but with great people that understand the dynamic. These conversations don't come from a place of hate or negativity. They come from a place of having to have those hard conversations so we can have understanding and perspective without, judgment and bias and finger saying, hey, really, what kind of world, what kind of South Dakota, what kind of communities can we create for our young men and women, right? For our young people, our children. And that's my ultimate goal, is just to bridge those gaps, right? To give and grandchildren a better chance to get along and just to thrive together.
Well, I love that. And and when people say that, you're this person or that person, they aren't stepping out and being in front of people and trying to make the world a better place. Somebody has to decide to do it. I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan, but I'm trying to be Rick Hanson, and you're being Kansas Middleton. And when we start having these conversations together, and we don't take them personal in the aspect of we, we need to have these hard conversations, but not take them personal. We learn from each other and see both sides. We may not believe on both. You know what I mean? We may have
Yep.
our personal views, but we still need to listen. We still need to have this conversation.
I agree, and that's it just needs to happen, right? And so yeah, these this is why our conversations are so important, right? And it's for the space to be with you at this moment because um just us coming together, right? And it's big, so thank you for that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully in the near future to be able to sit down and have a conversation in person. I was hoping to be out in Rapid City or in the Black Hills sometime soon, but unfortunately my schedule just ain't taking me out there right now. I'm gonna be real, right? As much as I travel, I try not to take unnecessary trips that add to something. And
Well, well, here's the deal. I understand that because family's first. All that nothing matters more than family in this world. And then then we make the world a better place because of that.
yep, I agree. And yeah, that's why like I love being a father. That's ultimately everybody always asks why I do my community work and love it, and I'm just like, ultimately I want to make the community a better place for my children. And if I have the ability to whole community or all the children, like why not? If and I always say that there's like so example, right? Is I always there's some parents that are privileged to be able to take their kids to like Chamberlain County or even Pierre for certain activities, and either one of them is a drive. It's a hour and a half, 2 hour drive round trip and
Hmm.
such. But I always think to people, I'm like, hey, if you're committed to doing that, taking your kid to peer, like, why can't you commit to just building that program within your community? You're already doing it. You got the drive. You're taking your kid. You got the discipline. You got all these things. Why not just instead of traveling one kid up there, why can't you just want to create that program here? And so that's where I was like, rather than taking my kids places, I'll just do that here. And rather than only my kid being impacted, I can impact them and their friends, right? Them and anybody else that wanted to be involved. And for me, that's a win.
Well, you know what I would love to do. We'll be starting to close up here a little bit, but I'm thinking. Things just pop into my head, and I start thinking about all kinds of things. But next time I come back visit my dad or something like that, and you are around, it'd be fun just to meet you and go around in Lower Brule and in around there and have a conversation. And I mean, maybe maybe go look around Lower Brule and then come back and have a episode or something, and we just chat about what we saw.
That would be beautiful. So one thing that I mean, of course, I grew up beautiful spots and some cool historical stuff when I was in high school. I used to work for the Corps of Engineers, and so I know a lot of the history with Lewis and Clark, and also I'm a history guy. I know a lot of cool things. I know I do bus tours for the state of South Dakota, Department of Tourism. So man, I'd give you guys the exclusive tour, right? Because we can have it, and then we can just talk about the realities of stuff. But overall, I want to do one of my other goals this year. I'm gonna be launching and starting is I'm gonna try to. I'm not gonna try, right? I'm not I do it, right? And so, anyways, my next venture, my next goal that I'm gonna do, I'm trying to create generational wealth within my family, right? I've come from
Yep.
nothing, and I don't have anything really, and that don't matter to me because I'm richer than most. I have the best children. I have a community. But if we gotta survive in America that takes what it takes to be successful in a sense, I'm trying to build generational wealth. And one of my things I've done, staying within what I know and what we know and what my native people know. So I'm kind of tapping into native tourism. I want to start my own native tourism, reservation tours, buffalo tours, history tours, story, all these amazing things, performances, and all that beautiful stuff. So, with me and you, like that's a great idea because I do need people non-native to come to the reservation, come hang out, get to know me, it's a safe place, right? We got to break those stereotypes down, and we got to be able to say, hey, it's despite what you might have heard, it's nothing like that, right? And who knows, right? You might even come. I might line it up. I might even have some fried bread and one of my grandma's houses or something. Fried bread and rojapi and all the good
Yep.
stuff.
Well, that would be amazing. I might have to plan that when the grass is green and the flowers are blooming.
That would be beautiful. Let me know. I'm always open for that. I always love to welcome people into our homelands and to share. Right. That's how we break down those barriers and make build bridges.
Well, I'm serious about that too, and we'll have to do that. And when I get to the end of a conversation, I ask one crazy question, and that is, what's the good life to Kansas Middleton?
Life to me, man, I'm gonna tell you what the good life to me is. Right. Of all the beautiful things I get to do, I'm always gonna tell you. Uh, I the good life is my dream that I live every single day, right? So I live my dream every day. I tell kids when I wake up, I live my dream. My dream as a kid was to have a my children in the same home with their mother and father present, breaking cycles, helping my people, being somebody, right? And so that's my dream right there. That's the life, is being somebody for my family, and being somebody for my children, and being somebody for my people, to help bring change. Other Donovan McNabb, Jamar Chase, all these beautiful modeling things and acting opportunities. I always say that's just part of the luxury of being a good person. You know, kindness brings all those great things, and being a good person, genuine those opportunities, and overall, my dream is just to simply be just a father, a community person, and just wanting better for our next people. So I live my dream every day. I wake up to my wife.
Well, I have to say, I mean, from following you, you have a beautiful family and a wonderful outlook on life, and I surely appreciate chatting with you.
Thank you. If I could, I always like to finish on one last little message too, right? My outlook on life. I always tell people, and we touched on it a bit, right? I always say, despite the hard of life, most times we've already overcome most of the hardest things we're ever gonna endure in life. And so, if you can be grateful for just the blessings you have in life and not worry about what you don't have, is gonna be a lot better. So gratitude can take you a long way. And thank you for this opportunity. With that being said, I'm grateful that we got to share our time together.
Yes, and let's stay in touch, and let's come down there and take a few pictures and go have a conversation here in the spring or summer sometime.
Let's do it. I'm all for it. So you pick a date and time, and hey, we're gonna even invite Clayton to come hang out with us too.
That'd be fun. And so, anyway, I want to thank Clayton for getting a hold of me to get a hold of you, and I want to thank you for having the great conversation we had. So this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Rick.
So, don't die, Rusty Nation. Keep chasing your dreams, being the best you. Don't die, Rusty. Keep inspiring people and make this world a better place. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Don't Die Rusty podcast. And if you would be so kind to give us a review, a like, a share, and a subscribe, that'd be wonderful, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would like to follow us on Facebook, we're at Don't Die Rusty. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, it's at Don't Die Rusty. And if you would like to get in contact with me, it's rick@don'tdierusty.com. And I just want to say I appreciate everybody listening, and as usual, keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and don't die rusty.